Welcome. Today we're going to go the other direction as we did the last lesson, in the sense of we're going to be given the graph of an equation, a linear equation or a linear function, and asked to write the equation in slope-intercept form. So as a reminder, slope-intercept form has the slope times x plus the b value, which might be minus b if the b value is a negative intercept, y-intercept. So for the equation that or a graph that we're looking at now, the first thing I do is identify the y-intercept. That's this -2. So I know that plus b is actually going to be minus 2x. Now I just got to write the slope in front of the x. So the slope, again, starting from that y-intercept, I'm going to look along the line until I find the next nice intersection point. Now be very, very careful. That's a little bit below, that's a little bit high, so this is the one that's on the right. So it looks like I went over a total of 7 units. So I did a run of 7 and I went down 1. It's a negative slope going downhill. So my slope is negative. I went down 1 and I went right 7. My slope is a -1/7 equals y. So now I'm going to type that in. Now I think IXL is pretty lenient in the sense of we do y equals, I'm going to do the -1/7. So I use that little weird slash division sign for the fraction, and then I can just put x, that just means I'm timesing by x, minus 2, and I submit. Right? So again, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my y-intercept. So again, y equals mx plus b. I'm going to look for my b value. My b value is where it crosses the vertical axis. So right here at -6. So I know this right here is going to be -6. Then I make sure, don't forget to write the x. A lot of students forget to write the x or fill in the x. Now from here, again, I'm going to look along my slope until I come right here. This one's below, this one's above, so this is the right one. I went over 4 units, but I went up 1 over 4. So, and that's a positive slope, up 1 over 4, and there we have our equation. So y equals 1/4 x minus 6. Again, here looks like we have a y-intercept of -1. So we have -1 as my y-intercept. And then it looks like now I'm going up 1, 2, because I'm following this line until I find right here, this is a little to the left, this is a little to the right. So from here, from my y-intercept, I went up 4 and over 1. So you don't need to write 4 over 1, y equals, just write it as y equals 4x minus 1. Remember, you don't need to write a fraction if the denominator is a 1. 4x, whoops, don't forget the y equals 4x minus 1. Again here, I'm going to start going a little bit quicker. I cross at a +1 value. So again, I can actually do +1 and then tab over here, and then put my x and then tab over, and now look for my slope. Looks like I'm going downhill, so my slope will be negative. Following along here till I find my next intersection point. Not here, but right here. So I went from a +1 up to 8. That's 7. I went up 7. Don't think I went up 8 because I started at 1. I went up 7 and only over 1, so technically it's 7 over 1. I don't need to do the over 1, equals y. And I hit submit. Oh, it's a downhill slope. I forgot, negative. I didn't double check my slope. I put a positive slope. IXL is correct. I am the one that made the mistake. It's a negative slope, and I forgot to put the minus sign in there. I got it. I understand my mistake. So here I cross at, so actually I'm going to maybe do the slope first. Y equals, now let's find the slope. I'm going to go from here to here, so that's up 4 over 1, so 4x, and I crossed at -9. Again, y equals, I'm going to find my slope. My slope, wow, I go way, that one's a little above, that one's a little below, so I went over a total of 8 units, looking down here, 8 units, because I went from 0 to 8. So that's now be careful, it's up 1 over 8, and it's a positive slope. 1 over 8. Remember, rise over run. Ooh, I almost forgot to put the x. Don't forget to put times x plus 4 because it's a positive y-intercept. Again, here they're using bigger numbers, but that's all right. Let's just make sure we reduce our slope. Y equals, so again, I went up, it looks like from 40, 20, I went up 10 and over 20. So again, I'm going to be careful here. I went up 10 and over 20. That reduces to 1/2. Make sure you reduce your slope. It's a positive 1/2 times x. Don't forget your x. And I crossed at negative 40. Okay, here, y equals, now I'm going to find my slope. Looks like I go down 1 over 2, going downhill, so it's a negative down 1 over 2, or negative 1/2. Don't forget to times by x. And then I cross at a positive, or plus 5. Y equals, looks like I'm going to go down 1 and all the way over to 6, from 0 to 6, so that's a run of 6, but I went down 1, so negative 1, down 1, over right 6, times x, don't forget the x, plus 10, because I crossed the y-axis at a positive 10. Y equals, again, it looks like I'm going downhill. My slope is negative. I'll put that in right now before I forget. And it looks like, wow, going from here, I'm going all the way up to, that's to the right, that's to the left, so 6. So I went from negative 2 all the way up to 6. That's up 8. I went up 8. So it's going to be 8 over 1, because I went a run of 1, but I don't need to do the over 1. So it's just a negative 8 over 1, or negative 8 times x, and I had a y-intercept of negative 2. Don't forget the x by the 8, by the slope. Again, here, y equals, again, I have a slope of down 1 over 2, so negative 1/2 times x, and I crossed at negative 2. Here, y equals, looks like I have slope of up 2 over 1. That's just a slope of 2x, or 2 over 1, but I don't need to put the over 1. And then I crossed at a positive 5. Here, y equals, okay, now watch your slope. I'm going to have to reduce again. So again, going from here all the way up to here. So I went from negative 20 up to 30. So I went a rise of 50. I went a run of 10. So that reduces to 5 over 1. And I also notice I'm going downhill, negative. It's a negative 5. So negative 5x. So I don't need to do the over 1, minus 20. Forget my x, got my negative slope. Again here, ooh, this is a huge one. Looks like though the slope is 1. Looks like I go up 100 and over 100. So it's a slope of 1. And you don't need to put 1x. You could, but it's just 1 times x, or x, and I cross all the way up to 700. So don't let the bigger numbers throw you. Here, y equals, again, looks like I'm going up, not 1 this time. Looks like I had to go all the way to here to get a rise of 2 and a run of 5. And it's a positive slope, so 2 over 5x. So don't get confused if you have to go more than 1 unit. And then we crossed at negative 5. I didn't forget my x, positive slope, rise of 2, run of 5. Okay, here, again, y equals, again, I'm going to make sure I reduce my slope. And the easiest way to do this is I went from a negative 60 all the way up to 60 here. That's the slope of 1. I went up 60 over 60, going uphill. It's a positive 1 slope, so it's 1x, or just x. And then I crossed at negative 60. Here, again, I'm going down slope, so I'm going to do a negative slope. Y equals a negative slope. It looks like I can't stop here. I got to go all the way down to here. So I went down from 1 all the way down to negative 4. So that's down 5 and over 2 times x. whoa, not zx, times x, and I crossed at a positive 1, so plus 1. Again, here y equals positive slope, and it looks like my slope is just the slope of 1. So just 1x, or just x, and I crossed at negative 7, minus 7. Y equals positive slope. Looks like I'm going up 10 and over 10. So again, a slope of 1. 1 times x is just x. And then I crossed at a plus 70. Y equals, looks like I have a slope of, wow, I'm going from here all the way up to, that's to the left, that's to the right. So right there, 4. So I went from negative 4 to 4. That's a rise of 8 and a run of 1. 8 over 1 is just 8, so 8 times x, crossed at negative 4, so minus 4. Looks like we have a slope of 1, y-intercept of 3, so y equals x plus 3. Y equals, again, another slope of 1. They're giving us a bunch of easy ones, plus 5. Y equals, looks like I went from negative 50 to 50. Yep, so up 50 over 50. That's a slope of 1. So again, x, but I crossed at negative 50 for my y-intercept. Wow, they're throwing a bunch of easy ones after 90. That's funny. Y equals, it's a negative slope. I'm going downhill. I went from a negative 30 up to 10. So negative 30 to 10 is 40. And then I went over 0 to 10, 10. So that reduces to 4 over 1. And again, it was a negative slope. So negative 4x crossed at negative 30, negative 30. Y equals, looks like my slope is negative. Looks like I'm going up, not to there, but to here. So it looks like I went up 5 and over 2. So a negative 5 halves. X minus, because the y-intercept is a negative 2. Y equals, looks like I go up 1 over 4. So 1 over 4, positive slope, times x plus 8. Y equals, looks like it's a 1 slope, up 1 over 1, so x, and a y-intercept of 9. Y equals, again, a positive 1 slope, so 1 times x is just x, and we cross at negative 10 on the y-axis. Remember, always y-axis, never x-axis. Y equals, ooh, they're throwing some big numbers in again, but if I go from negative 800 and I go up 800 and over 800, it's a slope of 1 again, so x, and I cross at minus 800. Last one. Again, y equals, again, they're, whatever reason, they're giving us a slope of 1, up 70 over 70, that's 70 over 70, or 1 times x is x, and we cross at negative 70. If you have any questions, please bring them to class and ask me, and I will absolutely help you. Oh, that took me a little longer, 11 minutes.